Hi everyone, back with Bassingtons. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all keeping safe. The other night I was sat at home watching television and I received a text message from a couple who were trying to buy either a Rolex Yachtmaster or a Rolex Submariner for their son's 21st. The authorized dealer was unable to give a lead time for either watch, and they messaged me and said, could I help? I told them they'd have to go grey market and expect to pay £12,500 to £13,000 for either the Yachtmaster or the Submariner. I felt there was better value in the Yachtmaster because that has a list price of £9,550, whereas the Submariner has a list price of £7,300. And it got me thinking. A very good friend of mine was out on holiday in Dubai. He's got an amazing watch collection. He doesn't flip the watches, but I know he's got a new 41mm date version Rolex Submariner, and he hasn't worn it. He much prefers his old 5-digit Rolex Submariner, the old school version with the aluminium bezel. And I said, look, would you be interested in selling this? Explained the situation, that it was a couple trying to get the watch for the 21st. And he came back and said, yeah, would happily help out. What sort of price? So I, in the interim, sent an email to a very well-known secondary market dealer, dropped an email off, and I got an email literally back within a second. It was all automated, and I'll read it out to you. Need to use the glasses still. It says, thank you for your recent inquiry regarding selling your Rolex Submariner. Unfortunately, we have quite a few watches like your Rolex Submariner, and so won't be able to purchase it from you at this time. Not what you want to hear, but we would rather say that than offer you an unfair price. And I thought, wow, Rolex have problems, to say the least. I went back to the couple and said, look at another brand, look at Omega, look at the Speedmaster and the Seamaster for your son's 21st. I forwarded the email to my friend. He picked it up and he messaged me back and he said, it's a nightmare with Rolex at the moment. He's been to 2 huge authorized dealers out there and they don't have any male model watches. No steel male model watches, no two-tone male model watches, no precious metal male model watches. So the same problem is happening in other countries as what's happening within the UK. I then visited the following day 2 Rolex authorized dealers and they literally had no stock. I phoned up 2 other dealers and they had no stock. And why we ended up in this scenario? Well, I think 2 things. First of all, Rolex heavily supported the authorized dealers during COVID, and they released a lot of their inventory. And basically what's happened is a lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people have gone and flipped that directly to the grey market and made a quick buck. The result of that is the grey market now has too much stock on their hands. And I have seen in the last few months the prices falling. That Submariner is at about £12,500. I've seen one dealer have it up at 12,150. I remember 6 months ago that watch was about 13,500. The prices are coming down on the grey market. But the other problem is it's the supply chain. I think anyone will realize involved in manufacturing, we're coming out of COVID and the supply chain is snarled up. You only have to look at the problem of trying to get a new car. It's nigh impossible, and it's due to the chips that are supplied into the manufacturers of those cars, and they're not readily available, and the manufacturers have had to scale down production. Consequently, the lead time is sometimes a year or in excess of a year. The result of that means that the price of the second-hand cars is sky high. And I think the same has happened here with Rolex. They've released all of inventory, that's gone to the grey market, and now they're struggling with the manufacturing. Yes, they're vertically integrated, but they still have to purchase the raw materials in order to manufacture, and they're struggling to source those. And that's causing real problems in getting the supply chain in to the Rolex dealers. I still think in an earlier vlog, they want to move the brand more up market. I still believe that they want to go more precious metal and will use Tudor as the steel alternative. So that's where I think we are. But you do contrast that with another maker. And the one I'm going to pick out is Omega, because Omega is really, really mopping up they're doing very nicely. You know, every authorized dealer I know that's got Omega, they are absolutely got a booming trade. And, you know, what did they do? Well, they didn't release the inventory to the authorized dealers. And you will say, yes, but their watches aren't as in high demand. Correct. But what they could have done is said to the authorized dealers, look, we'll fund a 30% discount off the entire Omega product range. And believe you me, they would have sold a lot of watches. They would have certainly sold a lot of Speedmasters and a lot of Seedmasters. They didn't do that. Consequently, you can go into any Omega dealership and pretty much get any model you want. Obviously, the Snoopy is hard to get hold of. The Ed White is hard to get hold of. But, you know, you want a Seamaster, you can get whatever dial color you want, whether it's on a bracelet as well or on a rubber strap. And they are really, really taking a lot of the market away from Rolex. They too are starting to run into difficulties. There's no doubt about it with the supply chain. I know there were some models that are taking 12 to 14 weeks to arrive in, which normally would have been stock inventory items. And, you know, I know one model where an authorized dealer said they ordered it at the start of the year and it only arrived in a couple of months ago. But overall, they probably operated the better strategy. Did Rolex at the time, did they think it was a good strategy? Absolutely. They wanted to support their authorized dealers, and I believe it was a really good decision. Unfortunately, a lot of that stock is now on the grey market, and now they're experiencing difficulties to get that supply chain in. In the meantime, stay safe and stay tuned.